Welcome to A Fine Podcast with your hosts, Amanda and
Joseph, yeah. Welcome. We are here to talk about the reunion.
of Love is Blind, UK Season 2.
Yeah, and what a depressing one it was.
It really was very sad to see what happened here.
Yeah, a lot of
Disappointing news.
falling outs.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the reunion starts with a funny photo booth entrance for all, and then our hosts say that they can feel this is going to be a great reunion. You want to know why?
why?
Because they can feel it in their spleens.
Yeah.
And there's so much emphasis on this, but then Patrick is not even there. Where is he?
I mean, I think he probably knew it was just going to be a Badger fest of this kind of. I'm sure he's been keeping up with what's online and everything. So
Yes.
I would probably want to just refrain from going myself.
Well, yeah, a good way is to just not show up and then deliver a statement that the host reads.
Well, too, and they're going to scrutinize, I guess, all the, the drama around him and whatnot. And I think it'd just be easier to
Not be
write
there.
the letter with his statement and then move on.
I'm surprised more people haven't taken this route.
Well, I wonder if, like, if you're just a pod person, you're kind of more of like an optional. Where, like, if you were on, you made it past the pods, you're kind of required.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because there's just not enough. I mean, you'd have a segment, right? Probably a very short segment. But I think for him, I mean, he would have had basically just had to defend the whole spleen talk and then the, with handling how Anu went. And I mean, I think he already really, for between him and Anu, already had the time to talk at the mixer to.
Yes, but no one's ever really not shown up before and delivered a statement.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather do that because what's the point of having like this argument on TV?
Sure, but we're talking about seasons and seasons of Love is Blind where this hasn't really happened yet.
Maybe he was the first one to be smart enough to avoid his.
Yeah, well,
his
there's
scrutiny.
so much going on with him about leaving a pregnant woman at the time of filming. And now he's a new father, so yeah, we'll hear more about that later, but that probably plays a role into why he is not
Right.
there.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So something that I thought was kind of crazy was all the cast enters at the same time onto the stage. It's just like a group of people all walking out into the stage. But the U.S. Love is Blind reunions, like they're announcing the people as they come on.
Yeah, this was weird that they then announced them. I guess, well, I mean, I guess we see because they really kind of all fell apart. So I don't know. I mean, they all are quite agitated with each other. Probably. I mean, a lot of them seem like they'll probably never talk again. I mean, they haven't. Some of them
Yeah.
for quite a while until this reunion again already. But
Well, they all enter as like a big blob of a group. But then the couples that are still no longer together are sitting on the same couch talking to each other regardless. So that didn't really help them be apart from each other. The big giant blob entrance.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe they wanted to. I mean, you kind of saw for the ones that were sitting together, they were like opposite ends of each other on the couch.
Yeah, but it was like a love seat, like a very small.
Yeah. I
couch.
mean, they were close, but it was like they were as far away as possible as they could be.
So do
on
you
this
think
couch?
The whole group walking in as a blob?
They've like all despised each other so much they don't even want to like act like the ones who were still thought they were married at the time even want to like have to hold hands and act.
They
like
don't have to
they're-
hold hands or act like it. You just walk in.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I think that would be telling.
Oh, so maybe
If
they did that to not give it away who was
right,
together and not together.
because I would think, why would I walk in with my person and not like hold their hand and
Well, that's
be
how we could
excited
tell
and
last Love is Blind US. Like Taylor and Daniel were the only two people walking in with like a loving entrance together.
yeah, yeah. Like I think that gives it away, and they'd rather, I guess,
So
try
maybe
and
they're
have a
being
little
smarter
more
about this.
suspense about this. I don't know. That's the only thing I could just
It
think.
just looked really disorganized when the giant
Right.
group of people all filtered in.
Yeah. But clearly the only ones who would have been happy to even do that would have been Kieran and
Yes.
Megan. So
So our first couple that we focus in on, Sorover and Cal. And Emma says to Sorover, "So what's married life like?" And Sorover says, "What married life?" And then immediately,
well, and especially too because they had this big montage of clips that they
it
took
wasn't a big
together.
montage.
Well,
It
yeah, I guess
was
I should say more.
what
But
they had, which I'm surprised they even showed that because they didn't do that for Billy and Ashley.
yeah, right, yeah. So I guess right, at least this little bit to, I mean, kind of show you or give you the illusion that they've been having a lot of time together and enjoying life and whatnot. But then, yeah, they have this clear reveal that they have broken up.
Very sad. So Sorover says after 3 months of marriage, he walked away. They had a fun Christmas and holiday time together. Then, right after, he told her it was over. And he said very coldly, there was no spark. They're both different people. He sometimes feels like he has more emotion than her. And Sorover says he started joking about some of the situation afterwards, sending gifts and things. And Cal just acted like a jerk during this whole thing of Sorover explaining what happened.
Yeah, well, it is really because he really did flip cold turkey. It seems. I mean, it just
He shut off all of his like emotions and said he just wasn't right, and then he mentions that they went on like a nice honeymoon together like in October, and then he says to Sorover, "Sorry for booking you a 5-star honeymoon off my own back." I don't know, some like really weird comments happening.
yeah. Well, I mean, it was just. I mean, the hostility that just happened. I mean, it's weird to almost see this because you see them at the end of the thing, but now they're just hating each other's guts basically.
Well, he is still very cold, and Sorover's just very much off put by the whole
Yeah.
situation.
Well, I find it interesting that it basically played out just like the brother had mentioned when Sorover first met Cal's family.
Yes, and this is all on Cal's side too, because the brother just says, you're not this type of person to settle down with somebody from what I've seen out of you.
Well, I mean, he pretty much came out and said that, I don't think you're going to find anyone.
Yeah, he said if Sorover is not the person that it works with, I don't think it'll work with you and anybody. That's what he said on the reunion today. If it was going to work, it was going to work with her, and he totally just blew it. So,
yeah. Which I think he's just at a point where he has no interest in it or he just has this really warped, nonsensical vision of what, a perfect marriage would look like for him. I think he just has a very naive assumption of what it's supposed to look like. Because I don't know. I mean, to sit there and really go 3 months in and then just flip like that and just say, I'm done. It's been fun or whatever. But
yeah, and Sorover says she watched it back and asked Cal, like, were you in love with me? And he says, yes, I had a lot of feelings towards you. And she says, well, what changed now? And he says, I can't answer that question.
All this is, I don't know. I mean, he never loved her. I mean, you can't tell me that was ever true. Sure, he maybe had liked her and had some, basic feelings for her, but for him to try to sit there and say that I loved you, and I loved you then. I
And
mean
all of a sudden
that
it just shut off all those feelings.
right, yeah. I mean that's just a bunch of hoopla. I mean he has a lot of things he needs to work on himself before he's really ready for a commitment.
Definitely. And he even says to Sorover's mother, who's talking to him from the audience, which I thought she was very articulate, very calm, smart, put together the way she was telling him her side of things because Sorover called her after everything and she was the one listening to how cold he was, how he abruptly ended things, how he didn't explain anything, how he just acted like he didn't care. But he says to her, I just don't think I'm compatible in a long term relationship. That's what I learned about myself. So
Yeah, I mean at least he's I guess coming to that conclusion.
it's just unfortunate that there had to be a marriage tied around this to someone who ultimately was not open.
Absolutely. You know, and I guess just because I'm not the ideal viewer for these people, but the constant, calling this experiment, we did this experiment, like I don't know, it just I think it just really like devalues the level of like what marriage is, and because they jump into this and then oh well it just didn't work out, and so you know I just said I'm gone, and then like the conversation of like well this I thought there isn't really a conversation when you break up with someone. It's a one-way thing, right? Like there's like I don't know, you're way past that, buddy. Like
You're in a marriage and the
yeah,
breakup was pathetic. It was
right.
lacked any emotion. You treated Sorover like a piece of trash, and that's your wife. You've made a serious commitment.
Yeah. That's why these things like I mean these 3-week things is just I don't know, cuz I think I mean we'll get done, but there if they had just given it a little bit more time, they could have avoided the whole marriage. They would have found out, he could have left, it would have been no issue, and they would have just left on dating terms and would have been fine. Like this whole rush of like having to do this marriage thing at the end of this, I think is just really annoying because I think a lot of these marriages that are doomed from the beginning could have just been avoided altogether and just
Right.
been a lot easier. Especially because I feel terrible, for Sarover to have to go through all this, and now you have to say, right, you've got this first failed marriage of yours, now because of
You have to go through the whole divorce process. You have this on your record, all because of this crazy experiment, and all because you were misled into believing that he really loved you.
right, and for him to go through with all this, just kind of knowing this is gonna ultimately,
And his brother knew.
I think, right, yeah, I think he knew to some degree. I don't think of course, he would have never admitted it during the show, but I think he internally knew to some degree that there's no way this is because it's just I think for some of these people like them, they just find the idea of this interesting, but then once they're done with that, and it's back to the real world with things, it's oh well, this is the newness of this is gone. So all right, I'm bored.
Yeah, and we'll see this too with Ashley and Billy because Billy mentions as soon as they were back to the real world, that's when like things started to settle in, and I think that changes a whole bunch of things too. The cameras go away and then you're left with this stranger basically.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I think they almost need to make the show where it's like I don't know. They almost need like a 2-part thing with it, where like they get the connection, they get the apartment, or whatever. Where like they have the dating period, and then give them 6 months unaired or whatever, and then like
we come back and film
re-follow
them.
up with them, and then like, hey, are you do you want to get married
Yeah,
now?
but if they did that, they'd have no couples to follow up on
I mean, true, but I
because
guess
they'd
at
all be
least
broken up.
yeah. But I think there's so many, but from their lives to avoid all of this disaster they've got to go through. I think that's you know that's the more important part, not the the viewing of this,
True.
but because I just think so many of these could be saved. I think because it's just terrible. I mean, I feel like for Sarover, I just feel terrible that you know you go through this and then you just get someone who just, cuts you off cold
And
turkey
who
like
was
that.
fake basically the whole time.
Right.
Whereas Sorover put her whole heart into this whole thing.
I
Just
mean,
like Ashley did.
yeah.
It's really unfortunate.
I mean, with a lot of these, it was very bizarre to just see them how infatuated and everything. And then seeing them here, it was just, I mean, dagger eyes to each other. And I was like, did I just wake up in the Twilight Zone or something? Like, what? How did this flip like this?
Yeah,
This is
I don't
crazy.
think we were expecting this at all. Just like such a sad energy.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, speaking of that, let's go into Ashley and Billy now. So we learned that they broke up, and this follows the same timeline of Sorover and Cal's breakup. So they lasted 3 months after. They lasted through the holidays as well, so Christmas time, and then right after Christmas time, Billy broke up with Ashley. Which I found this really strange that Cal and Billy followed the same timeline. And then we also learned in the reunion that Cal and Billy were talking behind the scenes and they were pretty good friends. And then that led Sorover and Ashley to talk a little bit and then discover how many commonalities they had between the reasons for their breakup, the timing of their breakups.
Yeah. I I mean, of course, they want to say, the guys, so this was purely a coincidence, but
Or maybe they got together and said, maybe we could say these things because we're really not feeling it with our ladies.
I do think there was. I mean, it may have not been like, hey, let's go together and, break up with our people the same day or same week or something. But I'm sure there was absolutely conversation about how they're unhappy or they've just
And how they're going to break it off.
Yes, right.
Because this is unfortunate too, like spending time with each other's families and they have no intentions of continuing the marriage. So Ashley says that her friends and family pulled her over during Christmas time and the holidays to say, Billy is very cold, unapproachable, very icy. Doesn't seem like he's into this whole thing. So everybody's like picking up on it. And I'm sure Cal was acting the same way around Sorover's family.
Well, and that's what I almost think too. Is it's like, I guess they thought, because I'd love to know when they, decided like it's pretty much over, right? But of course, it's if I decide this, mid-November or something, I can't sit here and break up and then have to go through all this in the middle of Christmas or whatever.
Yeah, so
or
like
Thanksgiving.
in
and
their minds, it's like, let's just
let-
get through the holidays. But that's,
yeah,
I don't like that either because I feel like
I think
then
it's worse.
it's worse because then you go back and you think about how the holidays went and then you're like putting two and two together once you're made aware of the whole situation, how they're feeling. You're like, wow, that really was cold. That was heartless. And then it just ruins your holiday you had. Sure, you'd be heartbroken and upset on Christmas and Thanksgiving, but I would find that much better than actually having them with me on the holiday and them.
Sure, because I'm going
pretending.
to take all the pictures and videos and everything, and now I've got this person who was just
Fake.
there to, just to be there because he had to. That's tied to these memories now.
That doesn't save
versus-
anything waiting until after the holidays.
Yeah,
I hate it.
right.
Because, yeah, you do remember the fakeness through the holidays for sure.
But I think, yeah, I mean, I almost think it must have been pretty early on after. Like even it could have been like within the first month.
Yeah, I think so. I think
things.
so. And that correlates to Billy's comment when he says, like, oh, once the cameras left, things were just so different. And we were in the real world. And, I was having all these real thoughts then.
Yeah.
So,
But Shim, I guess, I mean, I guess we never really kind of talked about whether they were going to make it or not afterward.
yeah, we never got to that part.
But it does, I mean, thinking about it, right? If he already had that many doubts on air, speaking about them pretty openly, then of course it's got to be that much worse once the cameras are off of you. Really, because if you're willing to admit that on camera, then of course you're really gonna be, I think.
Yeah. And like we said, that excuse doesn't sound like a relationship ender, like the cabin crew thing that they've already discussed and they already had future plans for. It really didn't sound like something that would break up a potential marriage. But
Yeah.
what we learn here is that Ashley says they worked through all this cabin crew stuff and she was going to be home more. And we learn that he has to be deployed for 3 months. And then she says, oh, well, that's even worse than like the time I'm away being an air hostess. And I was okay with that. And I was ready to commit myself no matter how many months he was going to be away deployed to. So I thought that was interesting. He's complaining about something insignificant compared to time frames for him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think for him, I think he needs a person who's already in the military as well. I feel like that's the only type of person that would
Understand him.
blend well. Yeah, because I think it's just this regiment, and then I mean, yeah, it is a little strange that you know, he was so worried about her, but then of course he's, got his own time away with, his job, but yeah, it seems like to me he needs like a military wife himself, or like someone who's active in the military, who's going through the same regiments and whatnot. So I think it just could almost be an easier blend of the, because they'd already have a lot of the same.
Yeah.
Because he clearly doesn't much want. He's not willing to compromise much, if at all, it seems, and that's clearly.
Well, I
he-
think he has some problems that he needs to just work on solo by himself too.
Yeah. Well, and then too, this whole, he was so big. I want this to be it. I don't want to go through a divorce again. And then in 3 months, you're already ready to go through that again.
Yeah, Ashley
I
even
mean,
says to
that-
him, look, you have another divorce now, and this is not what you wanted at all. And instead of just working on things with me, you just run away.
Yeah, yeah. Which, yeah, I think just the way they just cut out. I mean, they've been done for a while. They have no interest, and
He's defensive the same way Cal is kind of defensive too, because he must be thinking, I don't want this all to be pinned on me as like
well, yeah, of course, for
person.
their side, they're playing damage control. I feel like this whole
but it's all their
whole
fault.
time, and yeah, right, yeah, because
Both women were into it, and both men were cold hearted and left.
yeah,
So he does apologize to her for not being the man that he promised her. And then Ashley says she wants someone with a backbone for her next relationship and she will find her love story, just not with him.
yeah. Well, yeah, so we'll see, but yeah, I mean, I feel bad for them because to go through all that just to have the result they got is very unfortunate. But
Yeah, it is very unfortunate. And speaking of very unfortunate, Bardha and Jed are next. And just as we predicted, they are not together anymore. They did not continue to date for much longer outside of the experiment. They did for a little bit.
I mean, I at least have to hand it to her. I mean, she was the smartest one out of them all to at least be willing to be smart enough to know at the altar to
Step
at least
away.
want to give it more time. I mean, of course, the probability of it probably working out after that is going to be extremely tough. But yeah, at least you didn't go through all this. You don't have to go through divorce and all
That's
of this
true.
stuff. There's right. They had all the big pain at that moment where
Yeah.
Billy and Ashley and Sarover and Cal had to deal with it a lot.
And they're going
later
through a
and-
larger headache now
Yeah.
with the divorce and everything that has to do with that. But Bardha said she's very glad she said no. He was not the person ultimately for her. And then they asked Jed, would you have said yes? And he says, yeah, I would have said yes that day. But ultimately, deep down, did I think 100% this was the right decision for me? No. So I feel like that could have gone in the same way as an Ashley Billy situation, too, if Bardha would have just said yes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I think the end result would have been the same.
Because
No
it's like
matter-
two people who are not
Yeah.
fully sure that everybody's fully on board. And
I mean, like all of these people needed, they all needed just. I mean, heck, just give them one more month. They probably would have
been done for.
gotten, or at least the Billy and Kyle and Jed and Barbara would have realized at that point that there's no way this is
Gonna
the
work.
final thing.
Yeah. 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 1 more month. I like your idea of the 6 month follow up. And then like it'd be a ghost crew that the camera
Yeah, I mean, it just always.
follows.
I feel like there's pretty much always been only one couple that really kind of makes it at the end of this.
Yeah, very
Uh-huh.
low percentages of couples working out so far.
Yeah.
But Bart has said they continued dating, and it seemed like she was the only one trying. I think Jed was hurt from the whole thing too, of how the wedding went down. Like you said, it's hard to recover from that. And she said she kept her engagement ring on as a symbol to show her commitment to Jed. And then there was this big argument where Jed asked her to remove the ring because he didn't want his ex-girlfriend to see, but then he explains it's because he doesn't want to give away what happened with the show. So it seemed like a lot of confusion.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would take a lot of humility, I think, if to work on it afterward. I mean, Jed would have just had to swallow a lot of that and just been willing to kind of go back to square one. But then there is this kind of weird, debacle they had where, he was asking her to take the rings off or something because of the Jim and Essex, and they all know each other, and having that would have stirred some controversy. So I don't know.
And
This
then
whole
she
thing
said her
was-
ring fell off in the shower. I don't know, it's like a whole big confusion mess.
Yeah, this was just weird. Like I don't know. This just kind of was pointed to like they really weren't in it at all.
No, I really
And
don't
these
think
were
they
just
were.
like excuses to
Yes.
just kind of help officially end things.
Yes, I think they found it hard to just walk away.
Yeah.
So then they just used all of this as an excuse to just say, okay, yep, we're done. We're officially done because of this. Okay, goodbye. So it
Yeah,
made it a
because this
little
whole
bit easier.
exchange was just
Didn't make any sense.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really. I don't know. I found it very bizarre.
They were just not meant to be together. So
Which great they had a heck of a lot easier time
they get
separating
to
ways.
just
than-
separate and break up, no divorce, and they can focus on
Right.
healing and then eventually dating other people. But they are not interested in ever rekindling. They ask them both that and they say nope. And then Barda tells him she wishes him all the best, but far away from me. And that's how they ended.
Yeah, which that was I don't know. That was
Jed gave like a little goodbye and he says, yes, and I hope, she can watch this back and be okay with things. And it was just kind of like this nice ending. And then she says, yeah, I wish him all the best. Just get away from me.
Yeah, this was like a weird shade comment to just
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, at least just
But I
kinda,
feel like sometimes like the men try to act like all innocent on the air. Like Jed was trying to act like the guy who's like all classy and everything. And then she was just, that was her way of calling him out for
yeah,
that.
yeah. I don't know. This felt like almost like the Patrick Anu kind of
You're a liar.
thing
You're a
where
liar.
it's just like
You're a liar.
yeah. I mean, you're gonna I guess have this just I don't know, just try to have a decent ending. But yeah, maybe Jed was a little sarcastic.
Okay, let's go right into Anu. So Anu is in the audience and the hosts sing You're a Liar, Anu's favorite song that she sang
Yeah.
to Patrick. And then they ask her how they did and she says, oh, you did that very well. So I thought that was funny.
But she did kind of say they were a little
Pitchy.
yeah, in a not endearing way. So
But she was flattered that they were singing her song.
yeah.
So that was nice. And, Patrick isn't there, but they're asking Anu what she thought of everything. And she says, I respect his craft and beliefs. And now I know what a spleen is. I thought it was a part of your spine, but Sorover had to explain to me that it was an organ in your body. So
Well,
Patrick's teaching people about the human body.
yeah, 'cause people are more aware of what that it's an organ and not some other weird part of your body.
Yes. And she was very funny, calm, and nice about the whole situation, which I think this could have went a whole different way if Patrick was actually sitting there.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, I think it definitely would have taken a turn. I think they kind of really wanted him because that, they would have had their drama there, maybe a little argument there. I mean, I think he would have been smart enough regardless because I think he handled the mixer thing
Oh, he did.
pretty
Yeah.
well, and it probably would have just been a repeat of that. Which I did, like I said, he already handled things there. What's the
Well,
point of?
yeah.
There's nothing else to say really. So
Yeah. But I enjoyed Anu's speaking parts here. I thought it was
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
It was good. It wasn't crazy confrontational or anything. She just knows how to laugh at the whole thing now.
Yeah, and whatever everything she said was fine.
And she said basically she respects him and what he believes. So
Yeah, I think it was she had the little bit left to say, and
yeah.
that was all.
And then she said, he did want me to sing to him. So I gave him a song. This really was one of the most entertaining parts about the season.
Yeah. It was. I'm surprised there wasn't like a bunch of remixes that
I
came
know.
out of it.
If this was US Love is Blind, they would have had like
Maybe
a
that's
whole
what it
song
is, but-
remix or something. I feel like
Yeah.
their reunions go crazy.
Yeah, I feel because maybe I'm just used to seeing a bunch of remixes of like things like this and being in the U.S. But
Well, remember like last season of the US, they had like Monica's sock bin and they had like all these activities based on like some of the most popular moments, and they
Right.
didn't do any of that
yeah,
here. So
yeah. Oh, missed opportunity.
yeah, they could have like broken out the audience into different, sopranos and like just break them
yeah.
out into like all different, like make a little song about it and sing.
Yeah.
So that would have been funny. But yeah, missed opportunity here.
Yeah.
So then, speaking of missed opportunities, they zoom into Demila and said that Anu and Demila could have been a great couple. And then Demila says, "Oh, we're just friends."
That was kind of weird. I don't
remember
I
this being
never
a
really
big thing.
saw them. Yeah, I think because they had just a little bit, or even maybe afterward at the mixer, or just off air, but
Yeah,
they never seemed.
they're like we
Like,
have like a
great.
sibling bond.
Yeah,
So, and then Emma reads Patrick's statement, his written statement, where he says he was a genuine person, he was only being himself, and he is now embracing the joy of becoming a father.
yeah. I mean, that was
That's it. That's
That
how
was
he
a-
responded to the backlash of everything. So
yeah.
now let's dig into Katisha and Javin. So first, when they start talking about this couple, they zoom into Demila again and they say, Demila is a nice guy. And then they go into, Katisha, do you have regrets for not picking Demila? Like, they will not let this go.
Yeah, I mean, well, because the reunion they want to now that they kind of have a more formal of all three of them there
They're like, let's bring
in
it
the
up
same
again.
room. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, all in all, I think Demila probably just dodged a bullet with this whole thing. It just was for the better good to have his.
His appearance when he was there and then he left.
Yeah,
It has worked out well because the hosts say that he gained a lot of positivity on social media from the viewers.
yeah. Well, I mean, how could he not? I mean, he just had I mean, his whole thing felt genuine. I mean, nothing of his ever felt forced or just doing it to have a good name for himself on TV.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, especially the celebrating when Javin matched with her. That was,
The nicest moment.
I mean,
Yeah.
that just set him apart from everybody else. So
He gets the Medal of Honor for this season.
yeah, no, he was he was definitely my favorite.
It's nice they focused on him again, and then they asked him, "Are you still single?" And he says, "Yes."
Good
So-
guys finish last.
Yeah. So then they bring the focus to Javin, and he says he was here for all the right reasons. And Katisha said, "Well, you never said like nice things about me face to face. I'm hearing them all on stage now," because Javin says, "Oh, Katisha was nice, and we had a nice thing going," and it just seems like put on in her view.
Yeah, this uh, I don't know. I mean, he's just so reserved. I guess he's just I mean, he's not ideal for TV. Like, but you just can't really tell what he's thinking or wanting or knowing. So even here it's just kind of very mysterious with how he's responding to everything.
And then Javin and Sophie, they go over this chat that they had at the mixer. They play it back, and Katisha says she feels really hurt watching this back. They were flirting with each other, and Javin says he's just a jokey guy. And then Sophie says, "Oh, it really was a lot of jokes, but I'm sorry, Katisha."
This was just weird because
Very weird.
I think they're just doing it because once again they don't want to look bad. This was like a damage control because uh, uh,
And they said, Javin, you said, that Sophie was being naughty. Oh, you're such a naughty girl or whatever. And he said, yes, I said that only because she was not on her best behavior. I meant she was misbehaving.
yeah, I mean that was a little
Like it wasn't flirting.
right.
That's ridiculous.
Well, and then even Sophie said like, "Oh, if you, I guess I could see how that's interpreted as being flirty or something." But I don't know. These people don't understand what flirting is if they truly admitted or thought what they said. But
Right.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. They were just
Seemed like a bunch of excuses and
yeah,
weird thing. But eventually Sophie apologized. And then Katisha says, yes, well, thank you for saying that. And you weren't even the one engaged with me. So I should be talking to Javin about this because it's really on him too.
I mean, I guess that's the whole because what makes it, I guess, feel so like ingenuine as well as if it was such this big joke thing, then you could have admitted it, the next day
Yeah, true.
to her if it really was this big joke or something.
Like,
It's
oh, we had such a funny joke together.
right.
Wait till you hear this. And then it wouldn't be funny at all to Katisha.
Yeah, like it just and still, so the truth kind of came out that they really, I guess, did have an argument or either the other.
Yeah, what
sticking
is
to their
this
guns.
excuse too? It's like Javin thought he was like validated because Sophie confirmed that all they were doing was arguing in the photo booth. They weren't flirting, they were just arguing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird. I guess I don't know. And the excuse was because it was so loud that they went into a photo booth to argue more. But I don't know. It was still, the whole thing was
why
just
were they
weird.
arguing?
Right. But I'm surprised they didn't. The host didn't like kind of
Say what were you arguing
press on
about?
that
Yeah.
even more because did they just say that to? I don't know. Was it actually her? I'm surprised they just didn't press on that more. But
Right.
regardless, if especially if it was arguing, then why didn't you even tell Katisha about it or mention that?
Or like the details of it, right? Like
Right, because it just and that's kind of I think ultimately the premonition for Katisha is if nothing really happened, then why don't you just mention it?
lay the whole thing out though.
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh yeah, we got into the little flirty argument. Say we argued about this stuff because I was defending you or I was defending
Yeah,
something. I don't know. There has to be more to it than a general argument.
yeah, because he was just being so mysterious about the facts and then having to learn things from other people. Regardless, it just doesn't set a good connection with your partner because that's already gonna kind of sow seeds of distrust and
Mhm.
whatnot. So
And then it comes down to the infamous photo booth curtain, which Matt and Emma said that they have a little picture to show everybody.
well, it was weird because then when Kieran came out and was like, because I think a good few of you said there was a curtain or something, and Kieran was like, well, I came out. I'm the only one who said there was a curtain or something. Then like that gave it away for me that it was like, oh, there's no curtain because he wouldn't have done that before the reveal. To try
Right.
to,
But then he did say, like, what does it matter if there's a curtain? Like, what is this argument? Curtain, no
yeah,
curtain. Who
right.
cares if there's a curtain?
yeah.
That doesn't really play a lot into the whole thing of what happened. You went into a photo booth with a curtain or without a curtain.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that is funny that he like came out and said that before. And then they show the picture and there is no curtain. And Javin is like, aha, no curtain. Like he proved a great point with that.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he kind of was hoping this would just kind of validate his whole side and show that like he was really, there's nothing wrong or anything, but I mean,
But you still brought a girl into a photo booth to argue.
well, that and I just think not mentioning it at all with Katisha the next day, I think that's just the bigger issue than really even, especially because, yeah, if you had, like, you really have nothing.
Say what the argument was about. That's what I
yeah,
think should have happened. Yeah.
right. I mean, sure, like a argument, locking lips or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's their argument.
Their mouths were in an argument, but not with
exactly.
words. He doesn't need a curtain for that to happen. So then Javin is so happy about this that he tries to start an argument with Kieran and Megan a year later. Again, they want to like replay the same argument. And Megan's like, I don't want to talk about this a year later. This is absolutely ridiculous. The curtain thing and then the all night comment that he was hanging out with the women.
Yeah.
So Megan's like, I am not going to go into this argument again. I have nothing left to say on this. And they kind of end it there. And Megan says she still stands by what she says because that's what she saw at that time. And Katisha said she was grateful for Megan coming to her and making her aware of things that Javin did not. And then Katisha says, when I watched the footage back at home, I wondered if you ever liked me. And Javin says, oh, of course I did. Of course.
Yeah, which is just, I don't know, there's still just kind of lack of emotion. I mean, the only thing he does is he laughs, all right? I guess he laughs at everything, like he said, but that's the only emotion
I forgot
he shows
that
towards
was what he did at the show.
anything. So then, I don't know, and then you come across, well, I'm just this big jokey guy and everything. Well, that's not great because how's supposed to anyone know, especially your partner, like how are you feeling or, about anything or, I don't know, that's not great either, but.
He's a little mystery.
Just too much, yeah. But then too, it's like if that's how you interact, I think he almost just says that on purpose so he can kind of like flirt, and then for him it is, but then he'll just play, oh, I'm just this big jokey guy or whatever. That's not really flirting.
That's gonna come back to bite him every time in the future.
Yeah.
So then let's go into Megan and Kieran, our only couple to still be together. We thought, thank goodness.
Yeah, it was funny, the host, because the host was like, please tell me you're still, like, we don't need any more bad news. Because, yeah, I mean, to have nobody successful in one season, that'd be terrible. Well, especially because they have to say at the end, right? They finally have somebody that they can say, love is blind in their scenario.
They're like,
but
now that you've confirmed this for us, this validates the experience now.
Right.
Love is truly blind. Thank you.
Yeah, you have to say you survived so we can say this statement.
Yes.
But yeah, no, at least luckily, which, I will say is a little, because they seem to have never had a big disagreement or anything yet. Or they have, but they've learned how to fix it. But yeah, they seem strong. They seem just like they were, on the show, and
yeah,
still loving life together and
connected, bonded. They've moved in together in London, and they talk about that. And yeah, they never really had any issues or crazy things happen between the two of them, and they just further enhanced their relationship throughout the past year, which was nice to see.
Yeah. His, like, I don't know, the other thing that we were bringing up was reminded of us kind of like the Taylor Garrett from the US season was Kieran's look had this big dramatic change.
Kieran's glow up.
Like,
I don't understand.
He changed from the hair being, kind of up and back to just like bangs now.
Almost looks like a bowl cut.
Yeah. And then he has like the earring on the one side, and then the shirt was like this. I've never seen a shirt like that before, but that like imitates a double-breasted suit jacket. I don't know, it's just like so. He looked like a whole new person, kind of like when Garrett had the long hair now and everything from having short hair on the show. But
yeah, he's the new Garrett.
This whole new look.
Now it's Kieran's glow up.
Yeah, I guess Megan really influenced his wardrobe.
Yeah, that was crazy to see. And I found this interesting. It was almost like they were trying to pull like a little controversy or something into the mix, and they showed previous interviews with Megan when she first entered the pods saying, you know, match me with anyone, but not a gamer. I don't want to be together with a gamer because they spend all day and night with their gaming system, and that's not what I'm into. I want someone who's into other things.
Yeah, that was funny that they kind of showed that extra clip of her having that and then finding him. But I will say, you know, he kind of mentioned, right, he's not like the, you know,
Typical shut-in.
yeah, just the 12-hour streamer kind of thing. I think he actually owns like a business and gaming, and that's, you know, much more involved from like an actual business side of things versus just the
Right.
streamer. But
I think
he
he
does
broke
mention-
that stereotype for her that she had, and then she was fine with it. I think she just had this whole big thing built up in her head, and obviously she changed her mind once she got to know Kieran, but that's who she ended up with. And then Kieran makes this statement, which is really funny. He says, yes, well, sometimes I like to play video games instead of immediately sitting down on my couch and watching Netflix or something. And then the hosts are like, no, don't say that, because this is a Netflix show. And he goes, oh, except for Love is Blind UK. That's definitely worth watching instead of playing a video game.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I appreciate it for saying it because I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's the truth, and I mean, whatever. Yeah, yes,
But that was funny that he like immediately
Right,
felt so bad and
yeah.
then he backed up.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny that Netflix kind of has that dominance where I think a lot of people just say Netflix like out of the box just as a, you know, from like a streaming provider or whatever.
Yeah, like the
but,
Netflix and chill.
right.
crowd.
So it's just natural to do that. But yeah, I guess when you're on a show by Netflix, you need to be a little more conscientious of those words. But yeah, that was funny.
That is funny. And then they say, as for the future, they want to travel together. They want to get a dog soon. And then eventually they want to start a family. But they're taking their time with each other first.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, enjoy each other before you get into the bearhood.
Yeah. And then they try to focus in on Sophie one more time. And Sophie says, oh, I'm really happy for their connection. My issue is never with their connection.
Yeah. Of course, they retouched on that, but then
It was nothing.
yeah.
It was very much nice between Sophie and Kieran and Megan. She said, I think the world of this couple. They're great.
Well, and I think they already had this at the mixer, this conversation at the mixer, so they've already closed off.
There's like
everything
nothing
with
else
that.
to say at this point.
Right. But yeah, I mean, at least Sophie had a nice, comment at the end saying, wishing them well and, hoping one day she can find something similar. So,
Well,
no, she has some nice words at the end.
yeah, I think that was very nice of Sophie. And something we learned about her too is that she learned a lot about herself. She went to therapy since, and then we did hear a little bit on the show about how she had a strained relationship with her mother. And ever since the show, there's been an opportunity now to connect with her mother once again and start having conversations and repairing their relationship. So she said that's the best thing that she got out of this show, which I thought that was really touching and nice.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear.
And that's it. What'd you think of our reunion?
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely some shocking elements to it, but at least we've got one couple standing strong at the end of the day, and
Woohoo!
they hopefully will continue on. And good luck to all the other people.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us recap the reunion.
Yeah, we hope you like it. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check us out next time.
That's right. We will be reviewing the Love is Blind US cast here shortly, and we will also start reviewing the Golden Bachelor.
Yeah, we've got some exciting things coming in.
That's right. So we'll see you next time.
We'll see you then. Ciao.
Bye.